Hey everyone, welcome back to virtual Sunday school. Kind of can't believe we've been doing this for as long as we have, but I'm super excited about the lesson this week. I think it's so awesome that it's falling during the time that we're in. I think it's super relevant to what we're going through in the world right now, and I'm just really excited to share it with you guys. I miss you all so much. And can't wait to be together again. But we are rolling right along with spiritual gifts. This week we're talking about the body of Christ. So I'm sure some of you have heard that term, the body of Christ, and what that means is the body of Christ is referred to the church, so the church body, and then how we all function within that body builds up the body of Christ. So we're each important, we're each necessary, and the overlying theme is we need each other. And that's what I think is so important for what we're going through right now. I know that we've all been missing community, we've been missing obviously our church family, but school and sports and just everything that we're so used to and usually take for granted and we just can't do right now. So it's tough when we were designed to do life together, and we really need each other, and we kind of can't be there for each other physically. So sometimes being young, being a kid, being a child, you might not feel important in the body of Christ. You might maybe feel unseen or irrelevant, or maybe like you don't matter, right? Like, what do you have to contribute? But I want you to know that you matter. You are so important, and that God uses you and can use you and will continue to use you, no matter what age you are or where you're at in life or what your season looks like. So this is a verse. This is the first verse we're going to read, and it lists 5 ways that someone like you can set an example for Christians, young and old. And that verse is 1 Timothy 4:12. And it says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech," which is what you say, "in conduct," the way you live, "in love, in faith, and in purity." So, what does that mean? And what would that look like for you as a second grader, for example, to set an example for somebody? There's a story in the book of 2 Kings in the Bible that is about he wasn't a ruler or a leader, he was kind of like the leader of an army. His name is Naaman, and he was not a believer. He did not believe in God, but he had a servant who was a young girl that served him and his wife, and she did believe in God. So in this verse, 2 Kings 5:3, she is telling him, he has leprosy. Hello, important part of the story. Naaman has leprosy. And this young servant girl is telling him, telling his wife really, that there is a prophet that if he would go see, he could be healed. So in 5:3 it says, this is the young girl speaking, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." So that's pretty bold. As a young child, I don't know too many that would speak up and maybe give an adult advice on like what they should do, how they should handle something or a situation. So that was very bold of her. And he actually listens and he goes. And I would encourage you to actually read all of 2 Kings chapter 5, because he puts up a little bit of a fight. It's a little bit of work, but he is eventually healed, and he goes on to become a Christian and trust in the one true God, it says. So kind of amazing. I mean, she didn't just encourage him to go get healed, but she led him to God as a young girl. Another awesome story in the Bible that I'm sure we all know or have heard is when Jesus feeds the 5,000. And the part of that story that is kind of never really talked about is that the food, the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish come from a young boy's lunch. who is willing to share it in that moment. And it's in the book of John, chapter 6, verse 9. It says, there's a young boy here with his 5 loaves and his 2 fish. And then the story goes on to talk about how Jesus multiplies that food and feeds the 5,000, which is the part of the story that we're all super familiar with. It's one of Jesus's miracles. But I don't know, I mean, in all the times I've heard teachings on that story and even read it myself, I don't know that I ever recognized that that food came from a young boy who was willing to share. So he really took a huge part in that miracle. And so it just goes back to being young, but being relevant, and you matter in the body of Christ. There is always room for you, and I would encourage you to be bold and to be confident, and know that you're loved, especially with our Church by the Sea family. You're so loved. So, a fun little thing, we were